The Virtual Application Container Service, what this platform is really a way to be able to address a lot of the challenges you've got with segmentation in your virtualized environment. So what VAX does is it provides the ability to be able to give you that world-class set of services without having to basically build all this stuff yourself. So over on the right, you're seeing all the different components that make up the VAX solution. So you got the automation orchestration that occurs within UCS Director. You can do routing with the CSR 1000V. You've got an edge firewall that can be provided with the CSR 1000V as well. You've got zone-based firewalling using the Virtual Security Gateway, which is a function of the Nexus 1000V. And then you got the Virtual Fabric, leveraging the Nexus 1000V's platform, providing that distributed firewall functionality. All of this is built into the VAX solution set. So what is a VAX container? A VAX container has a number of different components associated with it. They basically provide that virtual network and security services template for those different applications you want to deploy. So, when you're thinking about those applications and you're thinking about actually building out that service, typically you're going to use some different components. Well, instead of having to build all those uniquely every time, because as we mentioned, we want to get that ruthless standardization, we want to have templates associated with it. Within VAX, I can do that through that security services template. I can also ensure that the topology is configured and designed, providing logical and secure isolation and compliance with a solution set. That's really what it's designed to be able to address. You can build out a topology. You can ensure that applications are protected. If you've got PCI requirements, or if you've got other type of regulatory issues you got to be concerned with, being able to ensure that every time a service is deployed, you've got that same level of security is something we can do with VAX. You also have the ability to be able to configure this all through UCS Director. So when you actually deploy this, you deploy it as a licensed feature within UCS Director. And it exposes all these capabilities into the graphical user interface via UCS Director, which means that you can configure it and just use it as a subcomponent of UCS Director, which also means that that information will then be exposed to Prime Services Catalog, meaning that this is now a tool that you can leverage as you're building applications that you're going to then provide to the rest of the organization. So how does it work? The idea is that it allows you to be able to do configuration much quicker. So if you think about how you currently have to configure a lot of the different physical segmentation that you have today in your environment, it's all based on plugging things in a certain way. It's a lot of custom configuration. It just takes a long time to be able to drive these kind of solutions into the environment. Because you've got to rack and stack different types of things. You've got to put in pieces of hardware. It's a lot of work. Now, when we think about where VAX helps to solve this, is you get that ability to be able to do the virtual segmentation regardless of the physical topology. And that's the power of virtualizing these types of solutions, is you don't have to worry about the physical, the physical topology. I don't have to worry or be concerned that the design that I put into place, 6 months ago is going to impede me from doing something that I want to do today. Because the virtual segmentation that we can do with VAX means that it is an overlay on top of this existing environment. So it makes it much simpler to be able to deploy. When we think of the provisioning model, again, a lot of these things require a lot of custom configuration. But with VAX, it's all done automatically. So all that stuff that was physical hardware is now done via a wizard-based solution with full lifecycle management of all these different virtual services. So you don't have to worry about all the configuration of the individual components. It's all done as a solution set. So we got 3 different types of logical containers within VAX. So you got that 3-tier internal access we're seeing here on the left. The middle is a 3-tier external access, and then you got a concept of a custom container. So all these different components, allow you to be able to build, different ways that you can actually deploy an application, maybe for internal consumption versus external, or if you want to roll your own and you want to have a very custom setup, you've got that flexibility as well. So let's take a little bit deeper view of the 3-tier internal. So this is showing you how you would actually layer this thing together. So this is the actual template itself. So you've got an upstream router that's going to be giving you connectivity, in this case to the rest of the organization. You've got the CSR 1000V, which is that virtual, basically a virtual router that would sit within your hypervisor. And then you got the virtual security gateway, which is part of the Nexus 1000V product set. That's going to allow you to be able to then segment all these different different applications. So in the case of the three segmented functions below, I've got the web zone, app zone, and database zone. All that's going to be protected and secured via the virtual security gateway to be able to ensure that those different pieces and segments are kept separate. So again, if we're thinking about security, we're thinking about compliance, being able to prove and to show that you've got that segmentation. Not only will it help your security posture, but also allow you to be able to prove to auditors that you're doing the right thing. So this kind of shows you how that traffic would then flow, allowing you to be able to then have, multiple capabilities now that you didn't have before, the ability to be able to monitor all this traffic. You can support all the traditional networking solutions as well. Leveraging the CSR 1000V means you basically have a virtual router sitting there. So all of the capabilities that you would expect out of a physical piece of hardware, you're going to get in this environment as well. So here's an example of an external access environment. So here we've got the virtual security gateway providing firewalling capabilities for these applications. I've got the CSR 1000V and then that upstream router that goes out to the internet. So in this case, I'm able to then ensure the firewalling functionality here. I can do network address translation so that I can save on the number of external IP addresses I need, also providing another barrier and another segmentation that I have to the outside world. So again, it just shows you how easy it is to be able to deploy this in an external environment or an internal environment. Now let's talk about customization. So in a customized environment, you're really dealing with the ability to be able to configure and drive specific type of application needs. So in this case, we've got the ability again to provide that capability here because it's all built on standard switching and routing technologies. So you have that capability of driving this all the way into that hypervisor, in this case ESX, on the VMware side to be able to actually provide this segmentation between these platforms. So you can build this however you want. You can provide, custom configuration to any number of zones that you choose. You can do, a number of different configuration options. It's really up to the requirements of your applications. But the bottom line is you've got the flexibility with a custom VAX container to be able to make it happen. So when we think about the gateway of choice, there's a number of different components. Why do we use the CSR 1000V? Because it gives you all the capabilities of a traditional router. So I've got the option to be able to use the built-in gateway within VAX, but if I do want to use a physical gateway, I can do that as well. And in addition, if I want that gateway to be a router, that's a choice that I have, or I can use an ASA, a firewall, or a checkpoint firewall, or PAN, or whoever you want to use out there. Bottom line is you've got the ability to be able to integrate not only that virtual gateway that we would have built in, but also a physical gateway that you can connect out to. So you've got flexibility and choice here. You also have the ability to be able to use other virtual gateways too. So you can use the ASA-V, which is a virtualized ASA from a Cisco perspective. You've got the V gateway that you can support on checkpoint side, and vPAN again. However you want to deploy it, you've got those capabilities of configuring and choosing those within the VAX solution.